I've been told that this final update of this disclosure plan is very clever and will surprise everyone, and it's very cleverly done. Thorhan said to me, "This is genius." That's this. So I wait always to make a judgment of what I see in this story, but also because what's important now, it's to take it step by step to the public. ETs are real. That's the first step. And that's a big thing. ETs are real and they have been here for a long time and have worked with our governments. And that's the first tough part. And this is happening whether some people like Stephen Greer will say all the ETs are positive, whether someone like David Grush will say all the ETs are a threat, they are negative. I would say doesn't matter for the moment. What matters is that these different narratives blend in with the different current of thoughts, and it just goes through. It goes through the gate to the people's mind. Whatever they think about aliens, it goes through their mind and they realize, wow, aliens exist, it's real. They've been here and they've worked with our governments. Oh wow. But then once the mentalities of the collective unconscious of humanity has realized that and it's assimilated, then we can pass to the next step, contact.
Você está ouvindo Exopolítica, hoje com Dr. Michael Salla, sua fonte para a verdade, sem censura, sobre a agenda política e global extraterrestre humana. Clique no botão curtir e inscreva-se neste canal. Com vocês agora está o Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, I'm very happy to have Elena Danaan here in the studio of Exopolitics today. So welcome, Elena.
Thank you, Michael. I'm very glad to be here. This is good fun. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm really looking forward to being able to ask you some questions in person about some of these topics that I know we've been looking at for the last few years, and I've been able to interview you a few times and we've talked on the phone, but this is the first time we get to actually ask questions in person, so it's very important. So I want to just begin with the relationship you have with Ea or Enki, and how important that is to understand our ancient history as a civilization.
Well, Ea contacted me in 2021 it was the first contact, and he started to give me information about our true history, the true history of the Earth. It turned out that I discovered and I learned that there was a reason why I was calling him an old friend, because I knew him from previous lives, so this was something easy to feel comfortable with him very, very quickly. Although he is very impressive, he's very tall and he has an energy field, a frequency field that is so powerful that in my third density body, when I go and meet him physically, I cannot approach him. It's quite difficult. It's so powerful. Oh, Ea is an alchemist. He calls himself a cosmic alchemist. He developed his knowledge to such a point that he became immortal. And this is something that we can talk about. It's the Anunnaki have different grades in their society, different castes. I wouldn't say caste in the sense of conflicting with each other. I would say like a society or organization. And the higher class of the Anunnaki society, the royals, as I can say, they have this ability to access the immortality of the flesh if they want so. So that's what Ea decided to do. For certain reasons, he decided to undergo the journey to reach out through alchemical transmutation, immortality of the flesh. That means that his body now is stable, he won't decay. And this allows him to preserve his knowledge, but also access higher realms of consciousness, higher realms of understanding, and connect directly with source. We can all connect with source because we are all fractal of it, but what he can do is actually manipulate and use the very substance of source. He can tap into it and create himself using the source material. That's why he's so powerful. And I think that we have a tremendous advantage and gift to know more about his wisdom. His wisdom is amazing. Sometimes he says words to me, and days after, I discovered that there was a secret meaning behind these words. His wisdom goes beyond what we could expect. He's amazing. So I meet him physically. I'm meeting him physically. It's not channeling, it's not download, it's not. I'm actually traveling into space to meet him on board a ship. I meet him on his ship, on the Nibiru ship, which is an incredible place. So that's...
Do you want to tell us about the Nibiru ship? Because the way you described it to me, it was almost like a caste system, or there was a very clear differentiation between the scientists, the crew, the pilots, and the royals.
Yes.
So if you want to tell us.
I was very impressed, and it was the first time that I was confronted to such an organization in a society, because usually when I visit some motherships where there are certain type of people or culture, or when I go to Ganymede, for instance, there are the Ginvo, or there are other people, they have it's uniformity in their standards. For the Anunnaki, it's different, because there are, I would say, two speeds. There are the people like us who live their lives very long. They can prolongate their life using monoatomic gold, and when they feel their body is tired enough, they clone themselves. They can clone themselves and transfer their consciousness, but they will undergo the cycle of reincarnation, of course, but they will never be able to do what the royals can do, because they are a specific type of bloodline. The royals can access this immortality, and because they can access this immortality, they live out of time. So on the Nibiru ship, the royal quarters where Ea lives, it's absolutely mind-blowing. It's Baroque architecture. You would think you enter like in an Indian temple. Like, there are rivers. I saw a river running through it. Gardens, beautiful gardens. The fragrances are amazing, with plants I've never seen anywhere else, mixed with a beautiful, extravagant architecture. Everything is sculpted. There's nothing blank. There's no surface blank. And there are gardens. And besides that, when you get out of the royals' quarter, you get into the other habitat of the ship for the crew, for instance. So you have the crew, or the military or the scientists, and the normal people. And it's total different world. It's very futuristic, very, very futuristic architecture, and very advanced technology, extremely advanced technology. And people wear uniforms. It's like a bit being on the ship of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, but a higher level. And the discrepancy of world of architecture, of ambience, is quite impressive, really impressive.
So the lives of the crew on the Nibiru, are we talking about people that are kind of very similar to like extraterrestrials that are part of the Galactic Federation, as opposed to the royals that live for tens of or even hundreds of thousands of years?
Yes, they are all Anunnaki. In fact, they call themselves Anahim. The Anahim, or Anunnaki, if you will, they are a compound of different species, different races. It's a galactic culture from their own galaxy, their own world. And they have, you can find humans, reptilians, greys, grey type, and other species. But something in common that they have, I noticed, is that whatever their species or their race, they have this elongated skull, a little more or less elongated. So I think it's a common trait in their galaxy. And that was interesting. Yeah.
So now when the Anunnaki came to Earth and they established a presence, now the Anunnaki on the Nibiru, what they did was they created avatar bodies to transfer their consciousness. So when the Anunnaki came, I mean, how much time did they actually spend in their real physical bodies on Earth as opposed to like transferring their consciousness into an avatar?
Well, I do not know exactly the time, but they first came on Earth in their spacesuit. They are described even like fish people because they were wearing shiny clothes, their spacesuit, I suppose, environmental suit. I know it didn't take long. I don't know how long, but it didn't take long for them to create bodysuits, environmental suits, which are bodies in which they can transfer their consciousness, because the conditions of radiation, gravity, electromagnetism, they cannot live in that. They cannot take it. It's so different from where they come from. In all their ships, it's really very well regulated with certain conditions, and so they needed to, as they were going to live on Earth and create colonies, it was a long-term stay. So then they decided an easy way, which was creating avatar bodies.
Mm. Now, I know that there's a connection between the Anunnaki, as described in the Sumerian cuneiform texts, and the gods, the Olympian gods, and of course the Roman, Latin gods. So, my question is, if we think of Zeus as the sky god in the Greek pantheon, and we think of Poseidon as the god of the water in the Greek pantheon, are we talking about these two brothers, Enlil and Enki?
Exactly, Michael, exactly. Zeus was the thunder god, and he was the god of the sky, the master of the sky, the leader of all the gods. Mm-hmm. He loved to play with humans, and it said that the Greek gods had a board game, and they were playing the humans, fighting each other, And it's exactly what Yahweh did, Enlil. Sorry. Enlil is the thunder god. And in other traditions, for instance, in the Yazidi traditions, where I was to northern Mesopotamia recently, and to them, the thunder god is the god who destroyed the earth and created the flood. and it's Enlil. So Zeus as Enlil, which is very obvious, and Enki as Poseidon, it absolutely fits. And Enki, had his residence in Atlantis. So he always came from the sea. When he came to... First, he lived in Eridu with the others. And then they split, they built their places. And Enki went to Atlantis, and there was already a kind of a civilization there, but not very well developed. So he developed it, and it was his home on Earth. And he always had this, is represented with a trident. Well, this is actually a weapon. And I've seen it. Because Enki, we say, he's a collector. He collects antiques, and he has all these ancient weapons, which is extraordinary. Yes, he was Poseidon. Oannes. Yes, that was him.
So Enki, it was Poseidon.
Yes.
Enlil was Zeus,
Yes.
the thunder god, and Poseidon was regarded as the kind of founder or the protector of Atlantis. And of course, we know Atlantis ended in a terrible way. And I think you have some interesting information about the role of Enlil or Zeus in terms of ending Atlantis. So what do you know about that?
Yes, as we are in the Greek mythology, we can go back to what Plato said about Atlantis. He said that the gods, the council of the gods, were not happy with Atlantis and what was going on there, so they decided to destroy it. And in destroying it, they caused a flood to the rest of the planet. So that's one thing. And this particular aspect, the god of the gods, or the thunder god, or the god of the sky, wasn't happy, was angry at humans, and decided to destroy them to reset everything to ground zero. This is common to many traditions. Mesopotamia, of course. We have other traditions. So we know that Enlil and Enki, half brothers, were not getting on well together, because Enlil was on a personal mission, which was he wanted to create his own empire using Earth. Earth to him was the groundwork to create his own empire. And he developed slavery on Earth. He wanted to enslave the most people as possible. And he had put in charge his geneticist, his scientist. And Ea was at the head of them, to try to get these humans to, these first humans, to be formed as slaves, altered as their DNA, and make them docile and compliant. Ea wasn't okay with that, but Enlil was the master of this expedition, and so he was in control. And he said, okay, let's see what's going on. And he discovered who were these humans, that they were already the product of another experiment. So to go back to Atlantis, Ea decided to protect the humans, not to enslave them, and try to free them from slavery. And from Atlantis, where he created his own bubble of protection, he was trying to get this work done. The thing is, Enlil was trying everywhere possible to get rid of Ea, Enki. And he couldn't destroy Atlantis because it was well protected, and there were other ETs there. There were the Alteans. There were other colonies as well. And it was so protected, you couldn't attack it. So what Enlil did was, because Enlil was half reptilian and had a reptilian mind,